But first, breaking news story for this week is, very excitingly, we have the World Club competition being muted, being pushed out there, and looking more and more likely that finally we're going to see the Southern Hemisphere clubs taking on the Northern Hemisphere clubs. And it looks like, Tobes, it's going to happen every 4 years.
Every 4 years. So will that coincide with the Rugby World Cup?
I would imagine not. I would imagine in between that.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
So obviously you got the World Cup every 4 years.
Yes.
2 years later you'd have the...
Then you have the... Yeah.
Yeah. They're looking actually to have the first one within 18 months. So it is two years.
Brilliant.
It'd be like the Commonwealth Games and the Olympic Games or the Euros and the Worlds, isn't it? You know, every few years you've got something to look forward to.
It'll be interesting to see when they actually have these competitions as well, you know. Will it be at the end of the New Zealand or like the Southern Hemisphere season or the start and vice versa? Because if it's at the end of the season, those teams are going to be absolutely blowing. There'll be loads of injuries, but then if it's at the start, you're never going to know.
For me, it's pretty simple, eh? All you do is you take top four of Super Rugby, you take the top four of Europe, and you play... But
there's so many different European...
yeah, but Heineken Cup or the
there's
European
Heineken Cup, there's Pro 14, and then there's the...
Yeah, they're all still on. They all still go. They all still go into the European Cup. So take your top four of the European Cup, take your top four of Super Rugby, and happy days.
Yeah, but
away you go. It would be over. Maybe you'd play 2 games a week.
No, but what about the Japanese rugby teams? That's not fair on them.
Well,
what about the American teams?
They don't.
Not fair on them.
Okay.
You can't just say it's Southern Hemisphere and then Europe.
Well, they are the 2 major competitions around the world.
You might have to have some qualifying. You might have like 4 wild cards from around the world.
Yeah, okay.
And
Good idea.
You've got 4 from Super Rugby and then 4 from Europe.
What's happened to you over the last couple of weeks? You've actually come up with some quite good ideas over the last couple of weeks.
I think I've surpassed the Super Rugby podcast.
But anyway, whatever way it works, I'm excited. I just hope they don't drag it out. I hope they don't ruin the other competitions. I still hope that you play your premiership because it won't work. We've found out that if the premiership or the top 14, they're not movable, they're not flexible.
No.
But it could be such a big money spinner.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
For all of those clubs.
What would you call it?
World Rugby Club Competition, mate.
Nah, Village. Village. Needs to be tastier.
What would you call it? You don't have any idea, do you?
No, but... see, you've got a really bad attitude right now, and I don't like it.
I always have a bad attitude. It has something to do with working with you. Makes me have a bad attitude.
So, Ireland...
Yes.
Ireland Rugby...
This is the next story.
Yes.
Yeah, just moving on.
Mate, segue.
I had quite a bit more to say, but never mind.
Did you?
Go on, let's go on.
Did you really?
No, nothing.
No, of course you didn't. You barely had anything to say there. COVID-free. So,
2 rounds of testing.
Yeah, fantastic.
Problem with all of this is they're COVID-free now. Doesn't mean they're going to be COVID-free tomorrow. And that's the problem that you've always got with this COVID. So you've got to be testing.
Constantly testing. So will they play... like New Zealand are playing? Because how many...
They're going to be playing behind closed doors.
Yeah. But competition-wise.
Yeah. The issue that all of these rugby competitions have is the cost of testing. You're talking about £60,000 for 2 rounds of testing.
What?
So you need to be testing regularly. Now, the Premiership football, that's all well and good for them because they've got that money. The TV deals are so huge that they're going to make that money back and some, but not with rugby. So It's going to be very interesting to see how they deal with COVID, unless you can be like New Zealand or Australia and pretty much have very few cases around. Now, Ireland has very few cases, but doesn't stop me and you going to Ireland for the weekend. And, we shouldn't do.
No.
But it wouldn't be able to stop us.
No, that's true.
So that's the problem they're going to have. But it's a great sign for European rugby.
Fantastic.
That Ireland might be back playing somewhat normal.
Yeah, agreed. So they've tested The Union tested a further 118 in staff this week. Fantastic.
All clear.
Yeah, I like
All
it.
clear. Now, it's interesting, when the footballers did it, they tested thousands,
Yeah.
and they only found something like 1% of people actually tested positive.
Wow.
So it's not surprising, actually, that they're all clear. Next story, I thought you'd like this one. This is especially for you, Tobois. It's Danny Cipriani has found love through his mental health campaign. Would you like to elaborate?
No. I don't even know how.
So basically, one of his best friends, Flack, passed away, high profile TV personality over here. Is it Christine Flack, I think? And he's struggling, and this is actually to be very brave of him, because mental health has been something that, a lot of men don't talk about.
No, true.
And he's bringing it to the forefront. So this is all fantastic. And through that, through a friend of Kerry Katona, who's also a well-known, he's found love.
That's brilliant.
Which is great to...
I can see why he found love.
Yeah, and the reason why I've put this in here is that a source revealed in the Mirror, which is a very well-known, well-reputable paper, Danny Cipriani's got a spring in his step.
Wow.
As he's found love during the lockdown period. And when you see the pictures of who he's found love with, you can maybe understand why he's got a spring in his step through lockdown.
Yes, she's very well endowed, isn't she?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Anyway,
I've only got eyes for Mrs. Warren.
I think we should move on swiftly. So, new rugby superstar.
Can we just go back though?
No,
and just
we
say
can't. No.
Trust Danny Cipriani to find love during lockdown with a brunette who...
Anyway.
Yeah, okay.
New rugby superstar reveals he could play for England. Now, who's this rugby star?
Hoskins Sotutu.
Yes, so how many games have we watched him play? 3.
We've watched him play more.
Yeah, we have.
I think he was there last year, and he was making a name for himself last year. But
so he is a 21-year-old back row for the Blues.
Yeah.
And he has been sensational.
Yeah, until I think last weekend he didn't have a great game. Not a bad game, but not a great game.
No, exactly. But
so when you do think he could play for Fiji,
yes,
he could play for the All Blacks,
yeah,
or he could play for England, and that hurt.
Yeah,
that hurt. Should we do this again? He could play for Fiji, he could play for England, or he could play for New Zealand.
There we go. I think he's a great player. I feel like we could potentially keep him here. I mean, I've read it, and he wants to keep his options open, which is fair enough. But all he's doing at the moment is focusing on the Blues, which is quite level-headed, I think, for, how old is he? 21.
That's really smart, because he's basically turning around and saying, I'm going to have to make a decision pretty soon.
Of course, yeah. Well, you think so.
All Blacks, if you don't want me, then England, come a-knocking.
What's he going to do? Where would he go? To Saracens? Can't pay for him.
No, I mean, he could go anywhere, couldn't he? He's going to get paid £25,000 per game playing for England. £25,000
Is that how much they get paid to play for England?
For a test match, yeah.
25 grand per game?
Per game.
Per just 80 minutes?
Well, if you get on for like 5 seconds, 25 grand. You don't have to start. That's pretty impressive, eh? You can't compete with that.
That's ridiculous.
I think he'll want to play for the ABs. I think he's good enough to play for the ABs. I think he's done enough already in the season to be selected in the squad. Yeah. So you've got to play, though. What you've got to do is you've got to do, if you're Fozzie, Ian Forster, is you've got to do a Clive Woodward here.
You've got to nurture him.
No. You've got to do a Clive Woodward, which is this. Clive Woodward gave anyone a game, like 10 minutes, just so that they qualified for England and they couldn't go and play for anyone else. Henry Poole, a good example of that. A wealth of I think Vinacolo came on, played. Shantane Harpy came on, played, and then just dumped them off.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they should dump him off, but what he has to do is he has to get him in the All Blacks.
Yeah, definitely.
Play him as soon as possible, and then
He's got no option.
Then you can nurture him. They are looking to change the way that you can be selected. And if you haven't played, I think, more than 5 games for a country,
right,
you could be selectable for another country.
Oh, wow, really?
Which would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because, you look at those guys who come over from Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, don't quite make it, but maybe play for the under-21s or whatever the capture team is, and then they can't go and play for their national side or their home country. The Piatau is a great example of that, Charles Piatau. But I do think he made his choice, didn't he? He could have played for the All Blacks.
Yeah, he was a great player.
And he decided to go for the money. I'm not blaming him.
Yeah. Well, he's over £1 million a year, isn't he?
Yeah, reportedly so. But that's a big one, eh? Because I'd hate to think we would lose old Hoskins Sotutu to England.
I know.
But I'm sure Eddie Jones has already rung him.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. I was steady Eddie.
Coronavirus, next one, mate. Coronavirus has taken its next victim.
It has.
And it comes in the form of
King Carlos Spencer.
Yeah, Carlos. I feel really like it's not good, is it? That you look at the New Zealand franchises and he's not. I think is he the attack coach, Carlos?
I think he could be the attack coach.
So he's the attack coach,
yeah,
and he's basically being told, we're going to make you redundant at the end of the season. And King Carlos has obviously made enough money over his years to say, listen, I'll go now and I'll spend some time with the family. And actually now by doing it, it's more high profile. He'll probably get another job.
He'll probably pick something up quite quick.
Quite quickly, I would imagine. But
it's still unfortunate though. And it does say here, he's in no hurry to make any decisions. And like you said, he just wants to enjoy time with friends and family.
Yeah. I want to spend time with friends and family too. Unfortunately, I haven't played years and years of rugby at a really high level to then just be able to make those decisions. I'm in no hurry. I am in a hurry. I've got to feed the family. The next story though is absolutely groundbreaking for English rugby.
Right.
We have got 5 Leicester Tigers players who have decided they're not going to take a pay cut. We're not taking a pay cut. They're saying, we've got contracts with you. You have to, go through with the contract.
Wow.
And wait for this. It's some massive players. I don't mean physically. And some of them are physically massive as well. But you've got Genge,
right.
Alice Genge. You've got George Ford, whose father's on the coaching side of the club. And he's not taking a pay cut. Yeah,
I thought his dad was Irish coach.
No.
Oh no, that's Farrell.
Farrell, yeah. Tuolangi.
Yeah.
Then randomly Greg Bateman.
Good on you, Greg.
And Carl Eastman. Now, am I right here in thinking that 4 out of those 5 are England players? So potentially,
well, you 3. Who's
Kyle? I think Kyle Eastman is also an England player.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, right, okay.
But I'm pretty sure. I mean, even Greg Bateman might be, but I don't think he is. Will we stand corrected?
Yeah, I'm sure someone will tell us.
Now, that's happened obviously in Australia with the Reds, where they've had a number of guys. That all came through one agent who recommended that they don't go and sign.
There you go.
Didn't go down very well with Brad Thorne. Imagine telling Brad Thorne, you're going to do something
he'd eat your face
that he's not going to like.
He'd eat your face.
He would, eh?
Oof, he's a scary man.
He is a scary man. So it's huge news that you got players. And to be fair, I don't actually blame them. And everyone thinks that rugby players get paid a lot of money. They don't in reality, unless you're at the absolute highest level. If you're playing for England, you're getting paid significant amount of money if you're making the team every single match. But if you're just playing for Harlequins and you're kind of a reserve midfield back, you're not getting paid a huge amount of money. And, let's be honest to say, you've probably got a career of 10 years, and then what do? You can't go to university or you probably have had to give up university to play professional rugby.
Well, now that they're so young when they actually start.
Absolutely, yeah. So, you're focusing on the here and now, which is playing rugby. it's pretty hard to then focus on what you're going to do after rugby.
Yeah.
And, unless you're an international, possibly TV isn't going to come into it.
No.
Reporting.
Or even then.
You're probably going to have to do a Super Rugby podcast or something along those lines to help make
That's what we're doing.
So, yeah. So I feel I don't know whether I'd be as brave as them. And maybe if I was as high profile as them, I don't think I would have done it because arguably they can all afford to take that pay cut. But it is a permanent pay cut. We're talking about permanent pay cuts of around about 25%. It's not just for COVID.
Yeah.
It's after COVID as well. So that is all the breaking news. We do have one or two other stories that listeners have asked us, so we're going to come to those a bit later. But we are now going to review the weekend's matches. And Tobes, what was the first game up?
First game was Blues Highlanders.